Guys,
Are you having flashbacks of your artist days? Gilly, run the tape. Okay, no.
Gilly's not even here.
It's fine. I'll tell you. I'll send it.
You know who Joyce is? Joyce is the kind of person who's with her new boyfriend, but calling her new boyfriend her ex-boyfriend's name.
Oh,
just because I said Gilly, run the tape.
This not
Just
Gilly
because I said run the tape. You know, there are people who don't know what we're talking about. You'll find out. Don't worry.
You guys, did you hear what Joyce said?
She said Gilly ran the tape.
Oh, so you didn't hear?
What?
No,
Brav. Anyway, have you seen BN came to the studio? Hey, Sikeri short.
Wow.
Run the tape.
But you know what?
And you know the way a tall guy has a shore.
Yeah, man.
Connie, that's how you had Kerry.
I swear. I watched back the video. I'm like, guys.
Stop joking.
Aki,
Now I have to go
man.
look for it.
See there, run the tape.
Run the tape. Oh, sorry. We're
Oh
running
my
the
God.
tape.
But you know what? At least to shores I'm tall.
Yeah.
So ni sawa.
Luckily for you, lakini usitoke
Tunaweza
Kenya.
simama
Like to
Joyce
show
Tuwe.
it. Shut up. Leave me out of this.
Kerry, usitoke Kenya.
Don't you?
Usitoke
Don't use
Kenya.
me as your benchmark,
The
please.
moment you just get to Ethiopia, everything you get to Somalia,
Rwanda.
Ethiopia is better.
Rwanda. No, if your babes, let me tell you, Kenya is the only place where I think the amount of effort that we used for the forehead, we went horizontal. Gani ndio vertical? Horizontal.
Yeah.
We forgot to go vertical.
Rwanda, I know for sure.
Yeah.
Like, at least a good thing is horizontally, like we're all the same height.
By the way, guys, before we get into our conversation, which is very, very hectic, I just want to give you some stats. There's a report that was released of the biggest foreheads in Africa. I'm just going to focus on top 5. Actually, to be honest, I don't care.
Who's
all
ahead?
top 5 are East African.
Of course they are. Head girls.
But you know what I found very interesting? Wow, that's what you call us. Even boys.
Head
like
girl. And head boys.
Have you ever asked
Yeah.
yourself why Munge is always in a kufia? I can shock us.
Leave Munga out of this, please,
Prefrontal
guy.
cortex. Iko huko. Some of us
That's why we are so devious, because
right?
we have, big
but like
brains.
you can't allow to be
so
judged by a
smart.
Ghanaian and they have Nini over here.
Oh yeah, they don't have Kisuviso goes.
Ghanaians are the only ones who can sleep like this, and they're comfortable.
No.
The whole
Oh my
night.
God, yeah.
You don't even need to, like if you turn like this.
Wait, we want to go to Ghana. Ibu talk
We are
nicely.
going. We're going. I
Oh,
love them. That's why we're inviting them into the podcast. So anyway, I want you to write your list who you think is in the top 5 in whatever order, right? See where you put Kenya, see where you put Uganda, see where you put TZ, see where you put Eritrea, Djibouti,
Djibouti.
right? And
If Kenya isn't top 2, I'd be surprised. Kenyans,
in your list, don't feel pressure. You tell us who you think has bigger foreheads. I say Rwanda.
Somalis,
I say
Rwanda. Tuko hapo si
I feel
wote.
like Rwanda have
I think
beaten
it's
us.
Kenya.
Why?
Yeah, for real.
Are you talking about my forehead?
I'm just telling you that this is
Rwanda.
the only place where you can get babes. So speak
Be
correctly.
very careful.
Nah, man, foreheads are beautiful. That's why you kiss.
Good
That's
job.
why you like kiss and say,
But
I
yeah,
missed you.
Kenyan babes,
Inakuanga iko hapa tu.
Kenyan babes, our foreheads are so big. One kiss is not enough. Needs to be
So to get the whole
the
forehead.
experience. Mna kiss hapa paka unasema babe, kwani umenipaka mate? Anyway, I know you're watching right now and you're
Guys.
wondering who our guest is. Now, before I introduce our guest, today we want to talk about something very special. And today is going to be a very kind of different episode. This particular issue, we threw it out in our second last episode. I think it was episode 57.
Yeah.
And we said we wanted to, 56. Is it 56? Yeah? And we said, we're going to talk about something that plagues people. So before we say, let's not call it its direct name. Let's just go around and see if we can give it a better name for this episode, because YouTube will definitely shut us down.
Yeah, they're going to shut
so
us
what are we
down.
calling this?
Let's all rave motorbikes.
What do you mean?
Yeah, just show how you drive a motorbike.
Oh, I get it. I get it.
Okay.
What would you call it? Not its original name, not master.
No,
What would you-
master.
For this conversation.
Or maybe DJing, yeah? You know,
DJing.
yeah, it
I like
works
DJing.
both ways.
Yeah.
I like DJing.
No, as in only one person can DJ. Or rather, only one gender can DJ.
Where's
with
you
what I'm
shop
trying
at
to talk.
Are we raving or we're DJing?
We're both.
All right.
Either you raise the motorbike, brown, or
Oh, freaky. I see you. I see
Yeah.
you. So what are we calling it?
Now it's tricky for me, who's a professional.
You don't have any nicknames. I'm sure you've had 1,000,001 nicknames. Give us one.
Article.
What?
Article. Okay.
Me, I swear, if someone
A tickle.
you give me a tickle.
A tickle, and the way
Giving yourself a tickle.
someone is pulling it, the end is not a tickle. That is a proper
Man.
scratch.
And sometimes if you see the equipment that's supposed to tickle you, and you see it, you're like, wait, this one you have to charge it CG Type-C cable.
Bruh, kwanza
Yeah,
unaiwacha on the socket. Aki girls, anyway,
Because it's going to be
discuss that.
busy, you know what I mean?
Joyce, what do we
I was
call
going
it?
to go with DJing. That's the one I
DJing.
know, yeah.
Do we agree to
DJing.
call it DJing?
For
DJing on
women.
yourself.
DJing is for women and then raving the motorbike for guys.
But we need just one name.
Okay. Yeah, so let's DJ.
Let's DJ.
Okay,
Sawa?
DJ, yeah.
So you're DJing yourself, right? So we're going to be talking about DJing yourself. Kama haujapata by now, surely. Just switch off the station and go home. Right? So we are joined by a very special guest. Her name is Ann Mercy. She's a clinical psychologist. And we invited her. Why? Because we want to talk about DJing yourself, right? So what are the common misconceptions you've had about DJing yourself?
If you DJ too long, your knees get weak and you can't really play sports. Your legs get skinny. And then like your kneecaps would be like easily visible when you're wearing shorts and like stuff like that.
Wait, so when you see people with bulging kneecaps, you're just like, bro, I know what
I know what you've been doing.
Mr. Superstar DJ Khalid.
As in,
Another one.
You the best.
Sorry.
this episode is going to kill me. Okay.
I had, if as a woman, I don't know, I guess as well for guys, if you DJ yourself too much, you lose sensitivity down there, and like it takes longer for you to reach climax with a partner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had that one.
Yeah.
I've also had that if you DJ yourself too much, especially as a guy, you're supposed to be retaining your music inside you.
What? You mean?
Your tracks. Your tracks should remain.
Your releases.
You don't release it. Unreleased hits should remain.
To remain inside.
Right? So apparently it helps with focus, right? And especially if you're like about to play sports or you want to do business.
I've heard that one, yeah.
If you're always releasing hits, apparently you're not like focused in life. You become unfocused.
Yeah.
Okay. I've also heard that if you DJ before you have a gig, you're going to perform better on that gig.
Yeah, I've had that one.
Yeah.
I've had that
Really?
one.
Yeah.
So you, as you were saying, the two opposite things. This is what he's saying. Keep your releases. You're saying
but
release
that's
them.
for focus.
This
That's
one
for
is for
focus.
For focus.
This is when you know for sure you've been booked and you know that you're going to go for a gig and you need to perform.
This
like
one
you
is
need
at
to
a
put
gig.
on a show.
Yeah.
Completely the whole night without taking water breaks or anything.
And you can wapi makelele.
Yeah.
Apinduru wewe.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
DJ, you practice DJ at
Yeah.
home so that when you get
So that when you're at the main match,
when you're at the gig,
good to go.
you're all set.
Noted.
I know, and Mercy, right now, you're just like, Lord, I must say. Right? What is anything we've said real?
Oh, true.
There are some
Or true.
truth to it. Like what he
Oh,
said.
wait. We forgot one.
Yeah.
The spiritual aspect. What have you heard about spirituality and DJing on yourself?
The demon time is actual demon time. Like you summon a demon when you're in that state. I don't know whether she's called.
You're just hearing D.
Yeah.
No, it's because I have a really bad joke.
Okay, I knew it.
Yeah, and the demon's name, I think it's Succubus.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Succubus.
Yeah. It's called Succubus.
Succubus is a whole different mythical creature, guys, but
Yeah.
it's sex related.
Yeah, so I hear that you summon that demon, and that's why you get into that state. And there's a guy who said that DJing is demonic. He didn't do it. Caliph Cairo.
I saw that.
He came through and he actually said he doesn't DJ. Yeah,
Also,
yeah.
basically, you rub the genie and the demon comes out.
Wow.
That's the joke I had. I'm so sorry. I'm immature.
I'm so proud of
immature.
you, Joy.
I'm so immature.
High five.
Thank you.
So, and Mercy, which one of what we've spoken about, like, is there any truth to this? Is, what, like, are these misconceptions real?
Well, I will say, like what he said, when you do it before like a concert, then in fact, the reason why people remain in this whole habit is usually because it will increase your self-esteem, obviously. You are alone, nobody is body shaming you, nobody is doing any, you are convincing yourself, I can do this,
Yeah.
The only challenge is you get hooked. It's like a drug you're having. You just don't know you're having the drug. It's the same way as gambling. It's an addictive habit. But it has the same influence as psychoactive substances. So
Oh.
basically anything that changes your mental processes, the way you think, the way your moods, your emotions, the way you perceive things, and you are getting it almost, you're having a cheat code. So instead of having to work for it, I know you've heard of dopamine, right?
Yeah.
But for you to experience dopamine, naturally, you're supposed to kind of work hard for it.
Okay.
People think it's just a happy hormone, but it's also a motivation hormone, a satisfaction hormone.
Right.
It's the one that's motivating you to keep doing. In fact, it's a reason why you are here, you today, because you did the first episode, did another episode, the high of, oh my God, you love what you're doing, people are responding, but you have to work hard at it to get it. Now, when you're doing that, you are DJing now, but again, there's no substance, there's no hard work. What you're doing is you're like driving on a road from, instead of going at 80, you're going at 180, 150, 120, 150. So you're going very high, very fast. And guess what happens when you're driving that fast? If you crash, you're the one who, you have the biggest blast, you have the biggest crash. So guess what happens? As you go that high, you experience that high very, very well. And you know, and you're feeling, oh yes, I am.
Yeah.
Your anxieties are gone. You have no depression. When you crash, you linger longer in that depressive state that you are trying to evade. The anxiety. So now you're in a point where you need it more.
Right. So it's basically just like a drug, basically.
Yes.
Wait, so wow. I
have seen so many things.
had no idea. I thought the addiction is, wait, so you're saying, so now the person has, you know, the fun is less when you DJ, right? You're seeing the audience, they're shouting, but you need more from them.
Yes.
Exactly. You are growing a dependency.
And more frequently.
So you
And
now,
now, yes.
so you have to do more gigs for you to be able to collectively feel what you felt at the beginning.
Yes.
This is what I've had the same thing with addiction, with heroin, for example.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I went for heroin.
Who went for heroin, please?
Yeah, no, because I'm a heroin. Yeah.
No.
So no, because I've had that when somebody takes, because I never understand. Like I've never quite understood. Like, why would you take that thing? Like after you've gone quite, right? When you come back on the ground, you say, "Yo, don't touch that thing," right?
Yeah.
But then you find that. So I finally understood that what addicts are chasing is that fast high they experience, because it just keeps getting lower and lower and lower and lower, and now you'll have to increase the frequency for you to be
Your
able to feel
tolerance
what you felt
increases,
the
yes.
first time. God damn.
Interesting.
So
And you can imagine, just like heroin, do you know, by the way, you cannot remove heroin from someone. You can literally kill them. You have to replace
With
heroin.
drugs,
Once they're dependent on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
These people can die.
Oh, it has to be gradual, like gradually
We
giving them
actually
doses
replace it.
of something that will keep them
methadone,
alive.
is it?
Yes.
Ah,
so you
okay.
take them to a methadone clinic and now they're getting the dose, the effect that the body feels, or the body gets used to it.
Yeah.
Remember, the brain is neuroplastic. What it basically means, it's malleable. Just like metal, the way you can bend it, you can make a ring out of it, you can liquefy it. The brain is the same way. It can change. You can literally change the organ, how it looks like.
Oh.
Now, in the same way, when you're doing the addictive behaviors, it constantly feeds into that. Then now, guess what? Your self-esteem is no longer as high only when you do that. That's when your highs, which is why you'll find people like those are rarely in relationships. And when they are, they last in very short-term periods because they don't want to get intimate, the idea of being with someone else, because now you are subjecting yourself to scrutiny by someone else.
Oh.
Well, all along you've been alone in the house. You know, you have decided, you have convinced your mind.
Yeah,
I am
that's all you
perfect,
need.
and that's all I need. Exactly.
You know,
So from what you've just said, so is it true that an affliction or like addiction to some is closely linked to someone who's
DJing on yourself?
Yeah, we bleeped that part.
Bleep.
Yeah, an addiction to DJing is closely linked to having anxiety and trying to tame anxiety, having depression and trying to, get that short reprieve out of it. So is it a fact that most people who would go through it subconsciously are going through depression and are not, they don't realize that they are? I know you're laughing about being the baddest DJ, us DJing, but there's one button you haven't pressed. Subscribe and like the video. Let's get to 1,000 likes.
Let me make this as basic as possible. the first thing you learn when you go to study psychology, you're told psychology is a study of the mind and behavior. Behavior in itself is caused. There is a purpose for every behavior you exhibit. There is a need it's meeting. So when I decide to DJ myself, there is a need that I'm trying to meet. Usually you will find it's either I'm trying to avoid or I'm running away from something. Sometimes it could be it's a desire or it's a goal that I want. Like, for example, just this whole podcast, the whole motivation for it is because there is a goal you want to reach to common people. You want these discussions to be very normal in households.
Yes.
Right? Some people will be, well, maybe all I'm doing is an obsession. So it's built upon some certain recurring thoughts that you might have. Like, do you know there are parents who, once the children move out, they call them every night because they believe if I don't call, something will happen to my child.
Right.
So the behavior is because of an obsession this person has, and it becomes compulsive. Now, this behavior of DJing, once you have to know the need it's feeling. In fact, even before you decide, oh, now I want to get better, if you don't know the need that it's trying to meet, all you will do is you will replace that behavior with another behavior.
Right.
Could be another, and likely another addiction.
Drug. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I'm listening to this and it's interesting because, especially for women, right? I don't know about okay. In society, and I want to say in pop culture, right? They've normalized master DJing, right? Master DJing on yourself for men. It's been popularized from as young as from movies
Puberty,
like American Pie. Which guy?
Hey, American Pie was wild. I don't even know how it was in the cinemas.
Even watch that?
I don't know.
Anyway, I'll tell you how I watch. I was watching Little Focus and I was just like, guy, how did we watch this thing when we were kids? But what was I saying? This
guys,
for guys, it's been popularized. In fact, they almost make it sound like it's something you should do
Yeah.
so that
It's a
you
rite
can
of passage.
last longer or take care of yourself so that you don't go out there and, because men have to
we have to release.
Otherwise, it'll be like, all that stuff. But for women, and I want you to tackle both, right? For women, toys, which is marketed. It's like, you don't have one. I mean, we even had an episode on this particular one. And now hearing this, is it so? My question is there no positive of self-gratification if you're not necessarily on addiction phase?
Do you know, for every behavior, we have an underlying reason. And the main reason is you're trying to avoid pain and to increase pleasure. You've heard of that theory, the pain and pleasure theory.
Yeah.
So you're trying to increase that pleasure. The challenge is people don't recognize some pleasure is short-term, another is long-term. So the moment you recognize, by the way, the reason why a lot of people are conflicted even in their mind? Even as you are talking, you can tell there's a certain angst you have. You don't want to say it or you look away when you say it because whatever you do has to really be congruent to whatever you believe, which is why someone will have elements of even shame when they're doing something they think they should not be doing. It has nothing to do with the environment. It's not even what you see your pastor tells you or what your mother said. No, it's within. It's something that is speaking from within that's telling you what I'm doing is wrong. And if there's no congruence, then guess what? People change the way they behave. They begin to... The people will embrace it completely and they become the flag bearers. Oh, me, I love it. And let me tell you, I love it.
Yeah.
And now let's talk to people about it. Yeah. Yeah, so you can and they numb themselves from that feeling. And then there are others who withdraw. They go into isolation. So someone is always in their room. Whenever they're not at work, they are busy.
They are DJing.
They are always busy. So you will ask them.
They are DJing.
Maybe they're practicing.
But you see, this being busy is because you don't want to be around people.
Yeah.
Because the thing with something like shame and guilt is you begin to feel like it's written all over your face. Nobody is telling you, but you feel it.
But you just feel
so
it.
when you're
You've
walking around,
convinced yourself.
You start to believe, you start to project. This one, they know what I do.
Oh.
So what do I do when I know you know what I do?
Yeah.
See, I
You're
stay in
gonna
the house and I protect myself.
Yeah. Okay.
I hear what you're saying, and I feel that it's not always that someone who like DJs every other time you have to be branded, like a superstar
Master DJ.
DJ Khaled, like DJ
Super
Drama.
producer,
Another
super
one.
DJ.
Yeah, sometimes it could be a spur of the moment. Let's say you're on a gig, you've gone for a gig, and like in this gig you're asked, oh, do you want to come to the booth? And you're like, you know what? It's been a while since I played with the decks, but you know what? Let me go and like get to it. Let's see how it is. And then like you do it and you have fun and you move on from it. So is it possible for you to be able to do that just for the sake of, DJing in the moment?
Like for fun, like as a
recreational thing.
Because
not
the
the
same
hobby.
thing will be said of imagine like drugs, right? So there's addiction, which is the end, like the let's call it the apex of where this drug could go, right? But then there's the basic where joy. Okay, now let me not use Joyce. V.
I was waiting to see who you're going to use.
V has been introduced to heroin. Okay, not heroin. Bangi by Mungai, right? Mungai, he smokes it, once in a while, occasionally, every once a month when, he's
treating
bonus
himself.
Why am I using bonus on this conversation? His chums as ingiad and he's happy, right? So once, let's say every 3 months, he'll go on safari and he'll smoke up. But V, she smoked up once, and now every single day, minute, hour, she must smoke up, right? So she's addicted, right? He's not. Now let's use that for, say, DJing, right? Mungai, in this scenario, is not addicted to the DJing, but V is susceptible. My question is, isn't addiction, because you're talking about the mind, right? And how the mind sits when it comes to addiction is there has to be that susceptibility. I don't think everyone can be an addict. Or can question.
Yeah, can everyone
be an addict?
In the right circumstances, even you could be. You have to look at addiction as, people assume that you just get into addiction, you find yourself there. However, the first time you took a glass of wine, that one glass took forever to end.
Yeah.
Because you didn't like the taste, you are not used to the effects of it.
I don't know who you're talking to.
Oops. Okay, sorry. Yes. So maybe you like the taste.
Looking at Joyce. She loves grapes.
Okay, so the first time you take it, you don't necessarily enjoy it because you're not used to it. And remember, you're just from childhood, you're used to the sweet things, Fanta orange, the two nitty-gritties. However, right now, that one glass is not going to be enough to give you that high. So you might need 2, 3, maybe 4, some people a whole bottle. Yeah, and it's the same thing with addiction. You always assume you have control over the behavior, over the substance, whatever it is, until you realize, oh wait, I'm at work, but all I can think about is going home or lunch break so that I can go to the office bathroom. So can you imagine at a point when, and it's true what you're saying, by the way, some people are susceptible, and even when you come to therapy, the first thing we do is we will do a family genogram.
Yeah.
So ideally what we're trying to do is establish if there are any traits of addiction, and I mean any addiction, then you will be susceptible to any other addiction.
Oh, because I'm just like, how would you know your dad?
You're a DJ.
Have you been DJing?
You're looking so shocked.
Mom, do you DJ? I just want to know if I'm going to be DJing in my future.
Families that are that open and they can discuss.
Oh my
God,
Lord.
let me tell you.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Never.
Let me tell you, in my sexuality class, I remember when the lecturer was teaching it, he put a video on, and there was this Cuban lady, and she's discussing her first experience with sexuality. And she says when she was 3, they went into the bathroom with their mom, they got showered, and then they came to the bedroom, and they laid on the bed, both of them fully naked, and the mom started naming parts. Oh, this is your labia majora.
What?
She's 3 years old.
3 years old.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but that's different. That's different.
Okay, that was
That's
educational,
different.
but still.
That's different. This one for Ati Mami here is where you touch.
However, don't you think a mom like that who is that open is more likely to be more open to scenarios like those?
Bruh, you're
That's
forgetting
true,
we're in
yeah.
Africa.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah,
to
let's
me,
talk
that
about
just
Africa,
sounds
bro.
twisted. Like
Wait.
it sounds.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I'm just trying to tell you that you cannot negate the fact that the society, the way we are moving, there is a likelihood that is and that's why even in therapy, because it's a very safe space, people will tell you these things. People will tell you, and remember, you will have people who have also been sexually assaulted. So at 3 years old, you might find a child who, when they walk up to a man, the first thing they do is try and unzip them because they were sexually assaulted. That's what I'm saying. It's
Oh
not,
my God.
you cannot negate the realities that this can be a thing, and it can have so many other causes, so many repercussions as well.
So the question I have is before you get to the point where now you have to check the family genes, whether there's a trait that would cause someone to get addicted to that. Are there things that someone can do personally to get to realize that, I'm getting addicted to this, and this is how I need to go on and handle it? Like before it gets to that point, you're in the office and you're saying, "Well, I want to go to the bathroom." Are there small traits that you could get to spot about whether you are now turning into DJ Khaled?
I think the first one is if you are on the mic in the office, is this thing on?
Is this thing on?
That's a problem. Right.
That's true. And even the way, just as we had said, why are you going on stage? The first time you go on stage, and you DJ and it works, and oh my God, the performance is amazing.
Yeah.
Then what
Best
have you done?
ever.
You have confirmed to yourself that, you know what, all I need to be doing is every day before I go on stage is
DJ.
I DJ every time.
Yeah.
So what is the likelihood of you stopping if you are thinking, again, it's fulfilling a need?
Yeah.
In your mind, you have convinced yourself, I cannot be this good if I don't do it. And the only way to stop it is to now do the opposite. So you are kind of working an experiment with yourself. If I stop, will I still be as good?
Because I'm listening to this and basically, we'll tackle the religious aspect of this, but I'm sitting here thinking that you can imagine, especially for men, because I know for women, it has been forbidden for such a long time until we are actually adults now, is when now you'll find your friends are even selling you toys. Shout out to our lawyer friend.
The vibrating lawyer.
Yeah, vibrating lawyer. Shout out to you. But for men, you will be in a sexual encounter, for example, and a guy has to do this because he's been conditioned that that's how he lasts longer, right? And if you talk to that guy, he doesn't think he has an addiction. So how does somebody know? And which is what Kerry was saying. Like, how does this guy know that he has and in fact, let's stop using the word addiction. Let's call it depending. Like he's depending on that. Yeah. Because if you speak to him, he'll tell you, he needs to, so that he can, and we've spoken about it as the misconceptions.
Yeah.
And even in movies, not those ones, these normal ones for the normal TV.
Yeah.
They you'll be watching a series and they'll joke about it like, hey, make sure you empty the load before and so is that what they call it, like emptying the load?
Empty the clip.
Yeah, before you know, so because it will make you last longer, right? Is that guy addicted?
Dependent. That's
he's dependent.
Not using addicted.
Yeah.
So he is definitely dependent because, let me tell you something. You see, if a behavior, we usually say the simple fact of being a human being is it means you're made up of your mind, your body, and your soul, right? So every behavior you tackle or every behavior that you are doing should be in alignment with your highest being. If it's not in alignment, then that behavior is not serving you. You are serving the behavior. So it gets to a point where now, this guy needs this. Remember, sex is natural. Sexuality is natural, which is why you'll find from the age of 3 to 6, kids already are figuring out, oh wait, I'm more like mommy than I am like dad. Yeah. And when you go to school, you'll find them raising their clothes up or they're showing each other. Yeah. And it's not necessarily, it's
not sexual, it's just curiosity.
Yeah. And then we come to
I never did that categorically. I never tried to show anybody anything.
Are you shouting? Why are you very defensive? Why are you so defensive?
I'm just saying.
Why are you so defensive?
Kuna watu wengine hao tunawajua.
So So even if you didn't do it, sometimes it could be just a mere, something. And in fact, in psychology, you will hear ladies will have something called penis envy. And so
Like, how come I
What
don't
is
have
that?
that?
3 to 6 years old, just at around that time. So
Yeah.
at around that time, you get more closer to your father.
Yeah.
And you don't want your mom near your father because it's now a
Really?
competition of the sexes. You don't realize we are the same
Yeah.
and that is different. And
Yeah.
now this is the goal we are
This
all
one is
aiming
mine.
at. Yes.
Wait,
Wow.
what?
And-
True. That is
Really?
so true.
That's what actually happens.
And vice versa, even for men.
Oh, really?
Do you know there are some fathers who are daddy's girl na daddy hata girl hata body na yeye. What kind of a father are you? That's the question you need to ask
Guys.
yourself. What kind of a father are you?
So it's a very natural state. And when we get to adolescent now, you realize, oh my God, my maturing body, things are happening. You
Yeah.
know? You're feeling things.
Yeah.
Things are growing.
Yeah.
So there's an inclination to try out and usually that's the first instance you will have. It's usually, and it's coupled with pornography. It's not just master DJing. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's not just DJing, it's coupled with pornography.
Yeah.
Now, if it's as natural as they say it comes, it should be by the moment you're ready to have a partner, then you're in the room together, you should not need something else to kind of
Right. To get you there.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
But the more you get used to in your own space, you are the one who's relieving yourself.
Yeah.
There's a likelihood you will need that more. There even in some situations, a man would be with a woman and he will go to afterwards, he goes to the bathroom and he finishes on his own.
Wow.
Why? Well, because again, he was not satisfied.
Wow.
So you see, I mean, a lot of times, we might be joking here, but it has broken marriages.
What?
Yes, so if someone is not careful and they're busy saying, and again, there's no alcoholic you will tell the first time, by the way that you have a problem with alcohol. And
Then they'll
tell
say
you,
yes. Yeah.
You know, I'm hearing this, and when we were speaking
Damn.
with Vibrating Lawyer, she
Yeah.
said that husbands are the ones buying these gadgets.
Yeah, for their wives. Yeah.
Right? So you'd say that I had no,
I would say, again,
well, not hard, just
more of everything in moderation, whatever you decide to do. And again, remember, the shame that you're feeling, the guilt that you'll feel will have nothing to do with the outside world. So you
Yeah.
are left alone with yourself, with your
Yeah.
own thoughts, with your own consciousness. If you can handle that, that's all right. However, again, everything in
moderation.
and everything, let me tell you, every choice has a consequence.
Now let's talk of consequences, because one, guilt, shame, and I remember yesterday when we were speaking, when we were prepping, I told you that I feel like a lot of that shame and guilt comes from upbringing,
Extreme.
right? So going back to what we're talking about kids, I just want to ask us, right? Can you remember the first time you're conscious of your body? Can you remember? At the DJ, at the concert, at the event. My guy, Ebu, subscribe first. Don't move. Subscribe first. Thank you. How old you are?
Yeah.
That's probably a teenager.
I think mine was an actual DJing experience.
How old were you?
Yes. I can't really remember. I think about I can't put the specific age, but in between 13 and about 16.
You're a late bloomer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Somewhere
As
in
in,
there.
even because we see boys, pulling their thing at as early as like 4.
You know, I'd wake up in the morning and see I'm ready for a gig, and I didn't know what it was about.
So nobody had prepped you that this would be happening.
My brother, my older brother, would tell me what it's about. Would tell me what to expect, but not really tell me what it's about. And my mom only got to speak to me about sexuality when I was about 17, going to 18.
And that was like, put on a condom, don't be fast babies, and HIV.
That's when we had buds and the bees, and I was like, man, as in I knew it from a while back.
Yeah.
But my experience with DJing, I think that's when I got to realize that how like bodies work. And this was, shout outs to Mike, my older brother. He told me, when you're taking a shower, just go and try and DJ like.
That's what he told you.
Yeah, it would be nice.
For real?
Yes. And I did try it. it was good.
All right.
Up until the point where I think I DJ'd with the wrong, how do I put this?
Decks.
Image.
Yeah, equipment.
Equipment.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, because, bathing soap is for bathing, it's not for
Oh
DJing.
my God.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You've taken us far enough.
Yes,
Right?
as
Joy,
explain aje.
did you discover your body? Because I feel like you're a bit of a late bloomer, and you'll tell us like at what age, on average, people start to discover.
Mine was in primary school, and it wasn't me. I think because I was always around guys, they're the ones who noticed that, like, like my breasts were growing. Like, I was always like, not always, I was like the first girl in my class to like actually wear a boob top. I couldn't just walk around without like a boob top. So it was the guys around me, they started acting and like looking at me different. And then that's when I was like, what the hell is going on here? I must have been like maybe 12.
So let me ask. So because my question and my answer, let me start with my answer.
Yeah.
So I think I'm almost certain it was between class 3 and class 4. And I remember vividly, I was lying on a bed. And I think I discovered that I feel some sensation, right? And so I remember playing with my teddy bear a bit harder, right? And at that point, looking back, I don't think I was aware of like there was
that's
anything
what was
wrong,
happening, yeah.
right? And I remember being sat down by my aunties one time with another cousin of mine, a boy who I think was also playing with his nini. And it was such a traumatic experience. Because they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Who taught you?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, who taught you?
What? Yeah.
You don't even know. Yeah. So at that point, I knew that it was wrong.
Yeah.
But if you'd have asked me what was wrong, I didn't know.
don't know what is wrong,
And then fast forward 13, I got on the
Decks.
On the
decks.
decks.
And let me just say, I didn't realize I had a talent.
Master DJ, huh?
Wow. Like wacha nikwambia Diplo, Kando. Calvin Harris, Kando. Right? David Guetta. Who?
With both hands
I
in the
was
air.
the
David Guetta, who?
So and then that's when I met the religious aspect, and then the shame set in, and so it became something that, like, even I'm sure we've had conversations where we talk about pornography, and I tell you, like, I don't find any fascination with it. In fact, and it's not because I might. If I hadn't been conditioned like that, I could maybe find it entertaining, right? But the moment I see such kind of content, my mind gets into automatic shame. Shame. You get, So again, I want you to think about your answer.
I think I've remembered mine. I was definitely a late bloomer. I must have been like maybe 13. And I don't know how we ended up watching Cruel Intentions, but that's the first time I actually felt something down there. I was like, that's weird. Like, what is there? There was like a very sexual scene that a 13-year-old should definitely not have been watching.
I'm going to watch
Don't
Cruel
ask me
Intentions.
how I ended up watching it, but that was the first time I ever felt something down there. And I was like, interesting. And I was watching it with like,
interesting.
and I was actually watching it. No, and I was actually watching it with my guy best friend. So I kind of like felt ashamed that I was feeling that around him because he's my boy, you know?
Yeah.
But that was the first time.
So
Mine's still that in around 12 years of age, that's when, as a guy, you wake up ready for a gig. And I didn't know what that was about. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Up until my brother told me that now you're slowly growing into a man. So after that, you're going to get changes. Your voice will break. And no, my voice had broken. You
sound like you were born with a bass.
imagine I didn't have one.
Can't you imagine you with a soprano? It would be so
can't.
weird.
I didn't have one. But for a guy, I think it's that the first thing that you get to notice is you wake up and you're like, where's the bash? Yeah.
And you can imagine now a lot of kids waking up to that reality, right? Because, it's not like your parents are the ones with your body. It is you. And so these discoveries, these self-discoveries could lead you, right, to that. If you don't, and you see the thing like shame plays a big aspect because they tell you go to hell, God, this one was only for that place is for your husband. You're like, where's the husband? And
Can you come find this
I'm in
thing?
class 3, yo. So you can see how, especially for men, how they can easily. What did your brother tell you? You're growing into a man.
Yeah, I'm growing into
so
a man.
he knows that this is part of manhood.
Yeah.
Right? How does this person now start telling themselves, no, this is wrong? Or where should that behavior been capped? Where could we have fixed it?
The very first time, remember when you were saying the 3 and 6 year olds, they're in the mirror and their dresses are up, or someone is coming and asking, oh, mommy, you are different from, and kids are they don't lie.
Blunt.
And they will just say it as it is.
Yeah.
That very first instance it's like, when we are washing clothes and we are hanging them, one connecting to another.
Yeah.
That's how our memories and our values, our perception about life is formed. So the very first instance of how someone reacts, where ulikalishwa chini, ukapigiwa makelele, guess what happens? Going about everywhere you go, even when you're appearing as confidence, there's an element of shame that is within you.
Yeah.
But it's only because of the values and the principles that was also instilled in you. So it's not necessarily as much as there is some perceived stigma and perceived shame that you got from other people. However, it stuck with you because the principles stuck, the moral stuck. Like, for example, if you think about it, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? You say shame. You see pornography, you see shame.
Yeah.
But why is it
I even
shame?
turned the computer like this. Look at these things.
Because those morals that you have, the principles or your perceptions about life, that can never change. Which is why no matter what, even when you are 70 and you're talking to your kids and you're thinking, oh my God, I am the most open mother that has ever been. Guess what? That will still be there.
So what if you don't have the shame aspect? What if you don't have the
that's a
shame?
good question,
Let's say you see like that Colombian, Chilean mother who's just like, that is your labia. Those are your nipples. Right? Like, this kid is going to grow up not having
with
any
no shame. Yeah.
Right? And you see, that's the question also for men, because I don't think, did anybody shame you were you taught anything about shame of DJing?
Yes, I was. Growing up, I was told, like, all the things that I tell you, like your knees become weak, your kneecaps like protrude out, and you lose strength in basically anything. You can't play sports proper.
Yeah.
So growing up, every kid right now dreams of being a Lionel Messi or a Kylian Mbappe or like whatever sport that you like. So if you want to really excel in that,
don't do that.
You don't do it because now you've been told it will make you weaker. So yes, there is that sort of shame.
So I went to a Catholic school. The word sex was not even allowed in the premises.
Oh,
So this person who grows up without shame, can they successfully live a life as a DJ?
Now I love how you have put it. I wish we could embrace some of these negative emotions the way we embrace all the positive ones. Because guess what? That shame is protecting you. You don't know it, but it is. It's keeping you from going and falling deep into that rabbit hole of pornography. Now imagine someone without that shame, someone who has grown numb. And let me tell you, and because of how natural this state is, if you're not feeling shame to be intimate with not even just yourself per se, but there's the holding back. If you're not feeling like holding back, then we need to be in therapy and find out, okay, first of all, are you affected by not being ashamed? What was the conversations that you had earlier? And you will find, in fact, a lot of people will have gone through some sexual trauma. So which is why you will see even a 3-year-old will walk up to a man and open and unzip the man. Because that is how they were taught to relate with men. Somebody ingrained that in you. So it's not necessarily holy. We can't even blame you because it's not your fault. But now, going forward, if it bothers you, how can we fix it? Remember, the thing with being yourself and being in your own body and your consciousness, what you know, what you don't know is, you are responsible for your own healing, whether you like it or not. Whether it was somebody who inflicted that pain in you, you are left responsible with picking the pieces and putting that puzzle back.
Yeah.
There's a counter. There's a way I can counter that in that, because we're speaking from a position where you're someone who's invited to parties, But now, if you don't get those party invites,
That was my next question.
if you don't get those party invites, you have to be your own bash.
And
so
Party
now-
of one,
Yeah.
just you and Pamela.
Especially, you can
you
imagine-
can't tell yourself
For guys.
Yeah.
Who wake
especially
up-
for guys.
every morning, because when you described it, I was just like, God damn.
Every
I'm so
morning.
grateful to be a woman.
Like every morning.
Bruh.
Every day.
There's just a who
God
single.
damn.
Now you're just like, God damn.
Unaiangalia tu.
Chanitafu. Pamela.
Yeah, man. Like,
Pamela.
Now,
as a guy, you wake up in the morning, you're ready for a bash. There's no bash you've been invited.
You're the 40-year-old man.
can I add a blooper before we even go on?
Yeah.
I always ask with women, I'm sure you know someone who has been sexually assaulted. If it's not you, it's someone you know.
Yeah.
You know one person, maybe two.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
How many men do you know who have sexually assaulted a girl?
Ikibamba sana wapi nduru wewe. Press that thing.
How many predators do you know? The fact that he has to think about it.
Yeah.
The statistics, they don't add up. There's no way the three of us here know at least one person who have been assaulted, but one man doesn't know a perpetrator. I'm just saying, a lot of times, the conversations, the way they go,
Say Diddy.
yes,
Like
Can't say
somebody
Diddy,
you
please.
know.
Please.
Yeah, it's... I don't-
statistically, it does not make sense. It does not add
yeah,
up.
it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, so the conversations, the way we have them, there's something off, because if I go with a guy somewhere and we are having fun and then maybe I'm drunk and I doze off, immediately if something happened, that is rape. But
Yeah.
the guy doesn't know that. He goes off thinking, oh my God, I've had my time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Wow.
clearly there is a gap in how men
How
are
do they
also
not
taught.
know that?
Oh, about sexuality.
Sexuality.
I see what
Jesus
you're saying.
Christ.
I see what you're
There's
saying.
a guy who will actually walk away from that
People
situation
go-
knowing he did nothing wrong.
Date rape is so
That is
popular.
ridiculous.
And they brag about it. They're like,
That
oh my
is
God. And in fact, some people think they have a girlfriend from there.
But you
No,
remember,
that's wrong.
you remember, guys. Let me ask you. In fact, Joyce, I'm glad that has come up. Have you ever
Yeah.
asked yourself why? And not all guys, but guys always like when you meet a babe for the first time, they're easier to take you for drinks,
Yeah,
right?
than an
To
actual
loosen
date.
you up,
Yeah.
so that you can be less friction.
Inhibited,
Yes.
yeah.
So the less inhibited you are,
The luckier they'll
the
get.
better, right? Especially if he wants to score. So it's easy access for him. Exactly. That's why guys sometimes are
That
trying to
is
get you lit.
messed up,
Right?
bro.
And psychologically, if you ask guys why they take babes out for drinks, like why are you trying to get babes drunk? Why are you buying her shots? Yeah, you know babes are lower in terms of like
Tolerance.
right? You're giving her shots at your pace. Why?
Guy.
If subconsciously you've not been taught that, and it's a subconscious thing, it's the same way you're talking
is
about the
Oh my
conditioning
But
of
it's possible
sexuality.
to take shots
Yeah.
and just go home, you know that,
No,
right?
bro. Let me tell
But
you.
most of
When
them
you're
don't even
younger,
know.
you've got 1,000 bob. Have you ever asked yourself where a guy would say, "I've bought you drinks. Where are you going?
Yeah, I've had that.
Why not
and
just
it's
take me
not
home?
right.
Why
Yeah.
not just take
Yeah,
me
I'm
home?
clearly
Why
drunk,
must the
bro.
drinks be in the mix?
Exactly.
Why?
See, to lower your inhibitions so
Thank you.
they can
And that's
nini.
the reason. And you're probably doing it and you're not aware.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Exactly
That's
my point. Because
insane.
imagine for you to have a conversation like this, she is shocked. She should know. Because I mean, if you go out partying and you've had
Yeah.
this story, you should know. But you are shocked. And guys assume the way the conversation is had with guys is not the same way it's had with
That's
women.
insane. That's
And so
actually
when,
shocking.
In fact, I tell men, when you know it is your responsibility to save the other boy,
Yeah.
the one who's behind you, your brother, your son,
Yes.
your neighbor. Because guess what? When we are locked in a room together, me and him, if I scream rape, even though there's nothing that has happened,
Obviously.
part of public opinion.
That's true.
You
What do we
took yourself
decide?
there.
Yes.
Jesus
So clearly
Christ.
there's a gap on how men are taught about sexuality.
You know what I'm hearing?
Wow, I'm in
Yeah.
actual shock.
There was a story I was telling. It's actually a current story unfolding. There are two ladies who've disappeared, who are missing. One body was found. I don't know whether they found the other. And these two ladies were lured by a gentleman. Well, did I call him a gentleman? You better edit the shit out of that word. They just a monster,
man.
right?
Yeah.
But the way he carries himself, he looks like he has money. He looks
Yeah.
like he's decent. But then he has that kind of personality that even if he says hi to me, I say yak. right? No, those ones who
You just get the ick.
Those ones who just want to show everything that I'm with these girls, I'm with this. So he's that kind of guy.
Okay.
And so what he would do, and just to allude to what you're talking about, and so we can understand the conditioning that has happened over time.
Yeah.
These girls he promised that he would give them a million bob. Right? And then brought them over, say, hey, come, let's have drinks. And if we're being honest, every time a guy has hollered at you, do they say coffee? Do they say food? What do they say? Drinks, right? So drinks has become a crutch, right? And some of us, we are conditioned into going for drinks and we're not even aware. You think that's how people socialize, right? Yeah. But this guy, as a predator, understands. Him is not conditioned. Him is using this as a way to rope in these girls. So he told him, hey, come, I'll give you $1 million bob after. Thank you for coming. Each of you will split half. Exactly. So the girls went, right? This guy lures girls so that he rapes them violently. As in those ones where he ties you up. I'm so sorry. If this triggers Nairobi. You, please seek counseling and you can go to her. No, this is Nigeria, right? And then he kills them. Right? So how we know this story is last week, there's a girl who escaped from the balcony. She was tied up and she had been, she was going to be killed. Right? And then she said, and when you see the guy, right? It's a guy who can take you out. Not me. Right? But you see, now the conversation that's being had in Nigeria is, girls, you really need, because it's a conditioning you've been told, like,
that's
okay,
true.
if he buys you drinks, and you see, you have girls saying that, if you want to take me out, you have to buy me $500,000.
Champagne.
So these guys, going back to what we're talking about, which is the conditioning of the sexuality, because at the end of the day, the guy's just trying to get to the cookie jar. And he's going to use every trick that he's been given in a book. Wow her, be a gentleman, do this, do that. And girls, you forget that the end game of all this is to get to your cookie jar. So if he could fast track this process, because they're not all good, and I know Carrie doesn't do this, right? And neither does Mungai. Collins, I can't speak for you, I just met you. But you seem like a nice guy, right? They know that this is just the end game. My end game is I'm trying to get to your coochie. And you're just there like, he's buying me gifts. You're forgetting that your end game, where is your end game, right? And so we end up falling for these traps. But it's what you said, how we've been conditioned, right? A guy wakes up, he has a gig calling, right? Yeah. He's now wondering whether to pick it up, whether to take it. Then he says, you know what, I don't have a partner to do this with, right? I don't have a co-DJ.
Yeah, co-DJ.
Right? So do I take the gig? Yeah. Right? And how long can I keep deferring these gigs before, because I'll have to eat one day. Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus. Now that becomes in the beauty with self-awareness is that because the moment you know yourself, and I mean like introspection, you sit down and you soul search, you are able to know the cues or the situations, or let's say the triggers, what makes you want it more. Yeah. In which situation, in which circumstance. He mentioned depression, sometimes it's anxiety. So you are trying to alleviate all these negative emotions. And when you're aware, when you're really, really, really aware and you're being very honest with yourself, you know that at this point, I know I will want to feel good. Yeah. I will want to do something to feel good. Yeah. So the next thing is to replace that behavior. Because behavior, just like every other, you can just wake up and decide, I used to wake up at 8 and now I want to start waking up at 6. You will do that for a week, 2 weeks, you're tired. Yeah. And guess what? You will sleep until 10 now.
Yeah. You won't even wake up at that 8.
Yes. Unless you're Carrie. Unless you're Carrie.
So if you have to replace that behavior with something you yourself consider to be healthy. Because otherwise it will just go into another addiction or will go into some substances. Yeah. Either that or again, you can come and seek therapy. Because that's the best thing to do, because with therapy, at least this is why I do what I do. Yeah. And you have to have a why, a motivation to stop it. If you don't have your why, oh my God,
you won't be able to stop.
That's how I stopped smoking. That's how I stopped smoking cigarettes. My therapist told me I have to have a why.
Really?
And I remember I left and I was just like, she said, you need to have a why. You need to reduce them. Just start with like -1, like that until eventually. Yeah. I was so convinced because the first time I had that, because everybody else would be like, don't go to cold turkey, don't do this, and like again with smoking, I wish somebody had told me before I got into it, but it was an addiction. Yeah. So when she told me that statement of have your why, it clicked in my head. Because
Oh.
I had so many wives, right? I had 6 trillion. And I was shaming myself every single time I'd pick up that cigarette. And I'd smoke it. And for like over, I think 8 years of it, I knew I shouldn't be smoking. I didn't like the habit, but I was
So the
addicted.
shame of needing it was your why.
Which was what kept me in the
So you see why shame can be so important, and
That's
I wish we could
true.
embrace some of these negative emotions that we try so much to run away from, because it makes you who you are. It speaks to who you are as a person. Why? In fact, it speaks to your own values, your principles. That you said you open a pornography channel and you turn a blind eye. Already, I am interested. I feel like I even want to be your friend because, oh my God, your values are
Girl,
so strong.
you don't know what I like.
I was just joking.
You only know what you don't like.
I just know what I don't like.
So now,
You gotta stay mysterious.
Yeah.
and when you have a really strong why, even when you have a moment of falter, which they will be there. I mean, you are used to, this is a behavior that became so familiar to you.
Yeah.
It's the reason why you can DJ so well, you know? But when you have that why, even when you falter 1, 2, 3, 4 times, you will always go back and you will always know, you know what, starting again, even after trying for 10 years, is never an issue because you know you are. And your why has to be so strong. It's not a pass. It cannot be everyone else's why.
That's true.
It's your
It has
own
to be very
individual.
personal.
Yes.
So is there, you said everything in moderation. So is it possible to have a healthy relationship with DJing? Like just like having, I don't want to say a healthy relationship with alcohol, but there are people who go out to have a drink or two and then they call it a night and they go home, or they go and enjoy themselves. Like they don't use alcohol as a crutch to socialize or to feel confident or to do, it's just a fun pastime. So can it be the same with DJing?
Now the question becomes, do you feel guilty when you go out to have fun?
No.
Now, do you feel guilty when you DJ and then you continue with life? In that instance, do you feel that guilt or that shame or that whatever it is that you are feeling?
Right. So
Because
that should
if
be
you
the...
then obviously
It's a problem.
it needs to stop.
But
Okay,
also,
got
you
it.
would find someone like who's embrace the fact that, you know, I'm a superstar DJ. Me, I DJ all the time. I DJ in the morning. I DJ
And let me tell you,
at
that
work.
is
I
also
DJ
a
at
form
night.
of-
So now, if you get to that point where you don't feel embarrassed about it, and you actually get to talk about it, you tell everybody that you do it. So I think you're still dependent on it, but like from how you've answered her, it's you're
don't
not
feel
embarrassed
guilty
about
or
it.
shame,
So how does that balance?
Can I just also add on to that? There are people who drink a lot, and they're not aware
That
that
they
they're in
drink a
trouble.
lot.
I feel like that would be my answer.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, because with what I'm hearing from you is that these things or they have long-lasting impact, and the damage is much more. You know,
It's
the
not
pros
face
are the
value.
cons are more than the pros.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Right. And so just because you're really good at DJing doesn't mean that you can't have, you know, that you're not in the direction of
addiction.
or not even addiction, problems. For example, you're such a good DJ, might not be somebody who's such a good DJ, I doubt they have good relationships. Because if you can do it by
Intimacy,
yourself, how you gonna look at this babe? And I feel like this is why guys have word pornography. And actually, before we go far, I wanted to segue into pornography because you said they start to go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So we've had cases where a guy is comparing, and we've had such stories, like guys want what they see in those films. And I guess maybe even women, right? So you're seeing this guy.
Pornography was made for men. It was not made for
there's-
women.
Babes, there's a whole kwanza Kenya way, right? Kenya baka Pornhub wanawatumia.
Thank you for
ladies,
your
for your
subscription.
subscriptions, right? So a gentleman or a guy, right, is so good at this. He's watching his movies. We start a relationship, but he has to go finish in the bathroom. He's too good. He's too good. He doesn't need me.
Like you start and then he stops to go and finish.
Have you heard of cases like this?
In fact, the most the most reason why people come to therapy in issues of shame, it's never that now, oh, I am ashamed, or I feel. It's usually, it has now trickled down into someone else's life. Usually a relationship that I care about this time round. Before, they maybe didn't even care about it, so it was like, okay, you just go. But now here is someone you want to start a life with, and then guess what? Guys, oh my God, these people are just amazing. I'm having so much fun. Please remember to subscribe. This one big, and you know that what people, and it affects, it's not just men, even women. It will lead to the delayed ejaculation. That there's no way you will experience sexual engagements in a normal way. That when you're with someone else, because you have already set an unrealistic expectation in your mind. And for women, you will find there's something we call female orgasmic dysfunction. Already, you know, the statistics out there that it's harder.
It's quite
for
low.
women. And now imagine adding on to that with your, and you know what you are doing, and you know the consequence of that, and you're adding on to it, and in a relationship you become so unhappy. And even the man becomes unhappy. Because remember,
but when it gets to that point, you can DJ the person, right?
You see, Carrie, you're missing a very interesting point, right? She's saying that, from what I'm hearing, is okay, you and let's say there are two people here. Let's say Kate and John, right? Kate and John are about to get into a relationship. They're super attracted to each other. John, DJ John,
master
on the ones and twos. Shut up, God's favorite DJ. Right? And then on the other side is Kate. Kate, once in a while, right? She's been single. So she's been, doing John's work. Right? So now they've met. They really love each other. But both of them have experienced pleasure by themselves. Is it possible that they will have 100% pleasure with each other, right? Without judging that, hey, John, you could have done it like this, right? And so you'll find, and I know we speak about guys sometimes finishing off for themselves. But, and this is a part where men are not ready. More women finish themselves than with their partners.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's very true.
So there's clearly a disconnect there, right? So, and then now add, kama umezoea haumalizwi. So you keep having to go to do it yourself, right? So you see now that creates a problem. This, you said this is what people come to you for, by the time they're coming to you.
It's what leads to so many therapy sessions. People are not coming to say, nobody will come and report themselves. In fact, even all kinds of addictions, gambling, alcohol, they're not coming because, now I want to stop being addicted. It's because now it's affecting my relationship. It's affecting my work. I was almost fired. Somebody has found me in the loo, I don't know how many times.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Now, yes, because the moment,
which people are
because
these?
Now it jolts you to reality. And the thing with human beings is we seek to validate whatever we already believe. So as we are talking here, someone will search and you go to internet and it will tell you, oh my God, masturbation has such healthy benefits.
And guess what?
There are also studies that have shown that it
has a negative effect.
So when you're seeking to validate whatever you already believe, there's
a problem. There's definitely a problem there. Interesting.
This topic, I mean, we could go on and on and on about it. And of course, my question now is like, how then does, because I'm sure there's young people who are watching this and saying, I think I have a problem, right? So what does therapy entail? Like, is it just talking about it, or do we need to get them a new brain? Like,
a new brain?
No, because she said it's microplastic.
Yeah, are there habits maybe they can adopt to help them get out of it? Because I'm sure not a lot of them will maybe be able to afford it or can bring themselves to actually talk about it. But hearing this information from us might be more palatable for them.
And can they pray it away?
Yeah. So are there like habits they can adopt at least as a starting step?
The first thing, just as we had discussed, is replace the behavior with something else. If, for example, let's say you love sports as well, with the same intensity, then every time you feel light, guess what? You become the next, who is this guy?
Messi.
You become the next Messi.
Right.
Because then what happens is you are changing, you are shifting your brain to realize that you can get the same effect
From
only
something
now
else.
from something that
And
is
better.
Yes,
Yeah.
more acceptable even to yourself. And
Right.
remember, it has nothing to do with the environment. It doesn't matter whether the people around you are accepting it or
Yeah.
not. As long as for you, you are now comfortable in your own skin. You can be by yourself.
Yeah.
Even in that shame and look at it and say, you know what? I am ashamed of this, and that's okay. It's
Yeah.
not so bad.
Yeah.
But also, what can I do about it? So what do? I begin by listing down and oh my God, let me tell you, if you have to schedule it down in a calendar,
Yeah.
do it.
Write it down.
Write it down. That because when you're aware of this is the situation or the cues that are likely to get me into a position of that, then you will have a whole list of what can I do when I'm in public? What
Yeah.
can I do?
Right.
I can decide to talk with someone because there's no way you are DJing when you are
When you're
in
talking to
public.
someone,
Yeah.
yeah.
You've
True.
not been in Tao.
Yeah, it's
There are
true. I've
girls who
seen
come even at
videos.
you, madam.
But that's
Utatoa
a different
pesa
thing.
ama.
That's a whole different thing. That's voyeurism. That's a whole different conversation. However, so you see, when you get things that you know will they become like your protective factor. You have your own toolbox.
Yeah.
This is what I'll do when I'm in private. Sometimes it could be you call your mom. Something that will jolt you into the more shame.
Yeah.
As in,
Whatever it
you're
is.
thinking of, it's DJ time, mom. Hey, that one will clear. for
Yeah.
sure.
And of course, people will wonder, okay, you won't talk to me a lot. What's happening?
Yeah.
And I would advise if you are confident in who you are, or if it's not something you want to really hide, then engage with someone. Tell someone that, by the way, I'm trying to fight this thing, and this is what I need you to do for me whenever I call you, or this is what I need you to. Because it works the same way when you are New Year resolutions. There's a reason why you have an accountability partner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you are in a position where you can be open about it and tell someone about it, then you already have social support, social resources working for you.
True.
If you can afford therapy, that is way better because we snuff out the root cause.
Exactly.
We go to find out, okay, why is it that this is your go-to? Why is it not maybe alcohol like someone else? Why is it not? And I'm not trying to say that alcohol is we're not
better.
accepting.
Yeah, no.
But why is it that this one
Is your go-to.
Is your go-to.
Yeah, okay.
And when we know that, imagine now we are like fixing the roots. You know, the way
Can now work backwards.
yes, it's
okay.
perfect
Yeah,
because that is longer healing.
Yeah.
It's lasting healing now.
Yeah.
All right.
Wonderful.
Before we wind up, of course, now after we've gone through the therapy, you've given the steps, you've gotten an accountability partner. Of course, the question is, do people actually heal completely and say, hey, I used to be a DJ,
Master DJ, yeah.
superstar DJ, and now I have left that life behind me and like really and truly, because unabaki na mwili yako, mwili ni yako.
Is it like any other drug where you can relapse at any time?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Remember, tumesema
Unajipata.
any addictive behavior, any addictive substance will change your brain chemistry.
Yeah.
That means you are training. You remember the dopamine we talked about? You're
Yes.
supposed to work hard to get it. Now you've trained your mind that you can do something and easily you have found it.
Yeah.
Easily.
In a few
which
seconds.
Is why
Yeah.
even on Instagram, it's two small things.
Yeah.
You post a photo once. The very first time you were new on Instagram, 5 likes would get you so happy.
You're like, wow.
Now you need like 1,000, maybe
Yeah.
5,000 before you even recognize that this is a good post.
Yeah.
So you can imagine when your happiness is now validated or it's dependent on external sources. Now, then of course that is a big problem.
Yeah.
However, what we're trying to say here is it is possible to be there, just like smoking, just like alcohol. You could have your own chip,
Yeah.
I've been 10 years sober.
Yeah.
You don't even need to tell anyone.
Yeah, just
Remember,
for
this is a
yourself.
personal accomplishment.
Yeah.
But also recognizing, just like any other addiction, remember there's a high it gets you.
Yes.
So even after 10 years sober and you take that one drink, you are likely to go back.
To the same
Yeah.
one, same
And so when you
old.
recognize that, you have strategies in place
to make sure it doesn't happen.
And if it does, because that's also a reality,
Yeah.
what if it does, then what do I do?
How do you cope with
Yes.
All
And
right.
is it possible for as we wind up, because I know we've spoken about getting rid of your dependence on DJing. So are there instances where you'd find someone who's gotten rid of DJing and then now they're addicted to party?
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Now,
very-
this is when now you have
Now
a
they want
partner.
the main
Yeah.
act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You don't
but
even have to have
when
a
both of
partner
you
to
are
enjoy parties.
When it's
You just
consensual,
call.
This bash is what we're. This solo
Yeah,
bashing
yes.
is what we're saying.
Solo bash is-
We have
is
come from
different.
real
Yeah.
it.
Now you have
You're taking us back.
someone to
let me
bash
tell you,
with.
I think the one line to take away is behaviors have choices have consequences. So however you decide, whichever behavior you decide to replace it with, it will have a consequence.
Yeah.
So what are the costs that you are willing to bear, and what are the unintended consequences? Like, for example, getting now addicted to partying.
Yeah.
It's an unintended. If you're being very honest, and that's what I'm saying, it calls for a lot of soul searching. You sit
Yeah.
down and you look, oh wow, yes, I'm likely to also get addicted to this. If I get addicted to it, is it bad? Because
Yeah.
if you are out there every Saturday with a tennis court, you're hitting balls, it's not so bad.
Yeah.
You see, it's something that is not causing you harm,
Yeah.
and it's not ruining any of your relationships.
That's true.
So
Okay.
if you're analyzing for everything that you have, cost benefit.
Love it. Thank you
Love
so
it.
much, Ann Mercy. And I know to our audience, this has been a powerful engagement. If there's anything that you think we haven't tackled, hit us up in the comment section, because as boxers, right, we want to have healthy relationships, right?
Yeah.
As much as we joke about it, for real,
Yeah.
this is something that's plaguing a lot of people.
True.
And we're not even going to get into the stats because the truth is, I think we all know that this is something that's affecting. If you would love to speak to Ann Mercy, we're going to leave her details, right? How you can call her professional line in the comment section. But thank you so much. And Ann Mercy, thank you so much.
Thank you for
And
having
we
me.
might invite you for another session in
Yeah.
another time.
It's been very
to really
insightful.
unpack.
Yeah.
Because what I've learned is here, ni good.
Nikubad.
Ni good. Ni good.